Hey, business building warrior, it's Jim. Welcome to another episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio. I have a guest today, which means if you're listening, you may not be aware, this is one of our YouTube episodes. Most episodes aren't on YouTube. This one is. You can meet my guest today, Mr. Manny Irvin. He and his wife, Swelling, who's from Brazil, launched an Amazon business using our training, the Proven Amazon course. They launched about a year ago. They dived into the course and things really took off. Their third month, he said they sold about $30,000 worth of inventory using the Replans strategy that we teach around here. They're selling, what makes their story interesting, they're selling items that are higher ticket, meaning they're not afraid to go buy $50 and $70 items that are selling for really nice margins. He talks about how they find those, some of the interesting ways that they ship. They're not just doing FBA with Amazon, they're doing some of their own shipping as well from their own house. But they feel like they can go find as many items as they need anytime. They figured out and did the math. Their first full year, they're about a year into using the strategies that we teach. Their first full year, they made about $100 per hour as a couple, working about 10 hours per week. So about $50 to $55 each, working about 10 hours a week. Isn't that a cool story? I love the beginning of their story when they kind of scrambled around, trying a few things here and there, some of the typical goodwill flips and that sort of thing. But nothing was stable until they got into the replan model. Another aspect of their story that I really enjoyed is that they considered strongly and they shopped around quite a bit on the whole private label thing. Manny tells the story of a friend who got into it and still has a bunch of stuff in his garage. And he felt like, he told me this while we weren't recording, but he said he felt like he was dealing with a bunch of used car salesmen, which he used to be, and he didn't like doing it, he said. But he felt like he was being pressured and pushed. And the thing that made this community different was all the success stories, how easily and openly we teach others what it is that we know, the way we share what we know. And by listening to his interview today, you're going to see it come through. He has a teacher's heart. He's sharing very openly what he's learned along the way, how they find stuff to sell. He shares the numbers, how much money they're making, how they do their business together, how he doesn't feel like a zombie anymore was one of my favorite parts when he said it. Man, I used to just feel like a zombie. I was working hard, getting up, barely sleeping, getting up earlier than I wanted to, going to bed later than I wanted to, missing my wife, who was also working very hard to make far less money than they make now. Just an incredible story. We love bringing families together, seeing families prosper together and grow incredible businesses. And I think this is just the beginning for this really special couple. So we're going to hang out with Manny today. He and his wife, Swelling, valued members of our community. They've been around, like I said, about a year now, just pouring a lot of value into the community. Starting with this episode, I think is going to be the top of the list now of what they've done to help support you, the fellow listeners, fellow business building warriors, and those in our free Facebook group, which I don't point this out at the beginning of the show very often, but if you're not in our free Facebook group, we're at about 66,000 members. It doesn't cost you anything ever, and you can hang out with business building warriors from around the world who are doing this right. We just blew by 1,000 recent testimonial posts in that group, by the way, if you weren't aware. So if you want to go scroll through hundreds and hundreds of recent stories of people using the Proven Amazon course to launch and grow successful businesses, you can do that in our free Facebook group. You can see the real people there. That's at silentjim.com. You'll see a link to our My Silent Team Facebook group. It's a free group. Like I said, I keep saying free because some people are surprised that we don't charge for access to that group. You're going to love it. Listen to a few podcast episodes, hang out in the free Facebook group, get yourself convinced, and then make the leap into the Proven Amazon course like Manny and his wife did a little over a year ago. So sit back, enjoy this episode. And hey, the one little favor that we ask, if you enjoy this and you enjoy our other content, please spread the word. We don't do a whole lot of paid marketing around here. I think about 99.9% of our marketing is organic, word of mouth, completely free. People telling each other that they enjoy our content. So enjoy today's episode. Let us know what you think. So Manny, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's a
I'm
pleasure,
excited.
dude. Can't wait to get into your story.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Let's hear it, man. Take us through it.
um, well, I guess it all started. My wife and I. She's from Brazil. She came here on a student visa in 2013, and we actually met at a bar, which is funny because neither of us drinks. So we met at a bar in 2014, and we actually
In
got
Brazil
married.
or
No,
here?
she was here. Yeah, she
Okay.
was here on a student visa.
I got you. Where's
Um,
she from? Sao Paulo is my guess because that's like half the
um,
population, right? But
yeah, no, she's like kind of so in Brazil there's like kind of that big bulbous part that's like above, like Sao Paulo and Rio are kind of more south.
right.
She's in like the middle of the big bulb part. Like
North.
it's a city
Okay.
called Imperatriz.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Yeah, they
That's
call
what I
it
get
a
for asking.
small town, but it's like 500,000 people.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but
So she's here on a student visa and you guys meet. How old are you guys at the time?
I was, man, I'm horrible with ages. I was
Approximate.
20.
That's it.
Yeah, I was 26, 25,
Yeah.
and she was 24, 23. But she in Brazil, they had a program where she could come over here on a visa. And then she's here for like a year and a half doing part of her program. And then she goes back there to finish the program. And we actually met at a bar and, got to know each other and stuff. And then we actually got married after 4 months. And then,
Wow. How long ago was
uh,
that? What year or
2014.
oh
Yeah, it was
wow,
like,
okay.
yeah, we've been married for almost 7 years now.
Man, that's
So,
incredible. What a great
yeah.
story. I'm sure that's a whole great story right there. 4 months.
Oh yeah, that was like very quick.
Yeah.
And she actually had she still had her return plane ticket to go home. And so she went home to, say goodbye and stuff to her family because she was going to come live here. Well, she didn't realize in her visa contract that she has to stay there for 2 years and there's no way out of it.
No
So
way.
right after we got married, she had to go back and she ended up staying in Brazil for 3.5 years while we did the visa process.
So you guys were married and she was living out of country for three. Did you go
Yep.
visit? How'd that work?
Yeah, I visited her twice. The problem was it was right around when the Olympics were held in Brazil. So all of the prices of everything like skyrocketed. It was like $3,000 for a round trip ticket. And like, we just couldn't afford it, like going back and forth.
What a
So
rough start, man.
yeah. And then
Well,
she
good for
finally
you
got
guys
here
sticking it
and
out.
oh yeah, it was tough, but she finally got here in 18.
Wow.
So now she's been here since 18.
And
So
I bet if we had her here to share her part of the story, there's a lot of interesting twists to this stuff. That's incredible, but good for you
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
so what's driving you towards having an internet-based business? Talk me through that a little bit.
Well, so I've been like kind of entrepreneurial for a long time. I at one point I was selling stickers on Etsy. Like I would make my own stickers in like Photoshop, and then like I was selling them to people like vintage stickers and stuff like
Hmm.
customized. I used to buy cell phones off of eBay and then resell them on Craigslist, like that kind of stuff. So
Wow. Okay. I've heard of people doing it the other way,
yeah,
but I love it. You flipped the script. I love it. You're buying them on eBay. It's selling them locally on Craigslist.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I was buying at the time they were, this was like beginning smartphones. We still had like a lot of flip phones out there, and they
Yeah.
were like military grade or construction grade like flip phones. So I would buy them for like 25 bucks and then I'd sell them for like 75 on Craigslist. And I had tons of people that loved them, like construction workers and, people in the military, like places where you might drop your phone and break it or something like that.
That's pretty
So,
incredible. It amazes me the number of people who still don't shop online.
oh yeah.
And you can flip from one site to another. You can go Craigslist to eBay, eBay to Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace to eBay, eBay to Amazon. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
the flip
Shopify.
possibility.
Like,
It's incredible. It's just incredible. Hit the sales and wait a couple months and it's back to normal price on just about any online website. Flip it anywhere. Yeah, the opportunities are
yeah.
just incredible. I'd never heard eBay to Craigslist though. I love that. That's a first for me in 20 years. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it worked really well. And then for a while, even like years after that, I was like, oh, I'll go back to it and see, but like those phones didn't really exist anymore because smartphones
Sure.
were the thing. So I was actually buying like old iPhones and then selling them, like reselling them locally too, like on Craigslist and stuff. I'd buy them for, $100 and sell them for like 300 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I'd
yeah,
seen I'd
it's
seen
the
plenty of that.
opportunities out there.
Yeah. Buying local. There's all kinds of opportunity. Buy local, flip online for all
Yeah.
kinds of items. Yeah. That's a great. Yeah. And I've seen people, I think if you max that model out, it's $100,000 a year or so income. That's hustling for most
Oh
niches,
yeah.
but those opportunities are out there for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of like watching the auctions on eBay, and I'd
Mhm.
put in like the price that I wanted to pay, and if I didn't win, go to the next one, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was great. Like I like doing that stuff, and I like always felt like I wanted more. Like I
Yeah.
would work. I would work at like doing sandwich delivery, something like that, and I always felt like, man, I want to like do more for myself.
Yeah. You want to own something that feels legit. You own your own business type thing. Cause
Yeah.
you're very much gig economy. Have you ever had like a 9 to 5, show up to work, get dressed up kind of gig, or you been like a bounce from
Um,
gig to gig economy kind of guy?
I I used to have like a lot of different jobs just to try them out. Like I've had a few that I stayed at for like quite a while. Like I like doing the delivery because you would get tips too. So like the harder you work, the more money you make. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I always liked that kind of model. I hated the whole like, you're only ever gonna make this much. Like
Right.
I always wanted to kind of work my way up.
Well, I was talking
Um,
to a guy who worked here in the States. It's called Shipped, SHIP with a T on the end, Shipped. And I was
okay.
like, hey, just if you don't mind telling me, how long you been doing this and about what do you make an hour? What do you clear? He's like, I clear about $30 an hour. If I hustle, I'm good at it. He says, I know what zip codes and what days to work and when to take some time off because it's dead. But he said, when I'm working, I'm making about $30 an hour. I'm like, man, there's people going to college, getting 4-year degrees, and going into debt a couple $100,000, making half that per hour.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
did that too.
opportunities are out there, man.
I actually went to college 2 different times. I went for I don't know. Have you heard of like Globe University?
Spell it, Loeb?
Globe,
Globe.
GLOB.
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, they're just to put it. I don't want to go super into it, but like they're basically like a scam college.
Oh no.
They ended up going out of business and stuff. Yeah, so I did that for like a year and a half, and just recently got all that taken care of. Like I owed them like $50,000 for a year and a half, and
Oh my gosh.
didn't even graduate. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
then I went for 6 months of massage therapy too at like a tech school.
Really? So
Yeah.
you picked up some skills there, I'd imagine. I mean, is that like something you held on to a little bit or?
Yeah, it was really, I loved the business part of it. Like my plan was to own my own business because
Right.
my cousin had done that. She went to school for massage therapy, worked in a spa for a couple of years, and then she opened her own business. And she was making like 75 an hour, and now she makes like 200 an hour or whatever.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like that was the plan, but I didn't love the whole like having to work like constantly with your hands and everything. Like
Yeah.
you get like arthritis really bad and stuff. So
Yeah. And plus your time is limited. You're trading
yeah,
dollars for hours still, right?
yep, yeah. You only can work so many hours in the day,
Right.
to make
Right.
money. So, but yeah, when we first started doing Amazon stuff, my wife was working like hourly at like Office Max, and she was working 40 plus hours a week. They always wanted her to work more because it's hard to find people. And I was working third shift as an independent contractor, 350 miles a day, 4 to 6 days a week on third shift. It
Wow.
was, yeah.
That's a lot of miles.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think,
300 miles is about where I draw the line. It's like, can we fly? And you're
oh
doing that
yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I was delivering pharmaceuticals to like nursing homes around the state. So it was like good. I was making $20+ an hour,
Mm-hmm.
which is better than like a lot of hourly jobs around here. But
Sure.
like, it was just, I just felt like a zombie all the time. I was so tired. I would be sleeping while she was at work. She'd be sleeping while I was at work. We'd see each other for like a couple hours a night,
Right.
And it was just too much. I was actually watching TikTok because I watch them for like financial stuff. And there's a lot of people that do like different advice on things. I don't know if you know Dan Bach on TikTok.
Man, I don't do TikTok. I guess I'm too old. I don't know, but
I think at some point he was part of the group. The Silent Gym group.
He's been in our community, probably our free Facebook group, or maybe he took the Proven Amazon course or something at some point.
Yeah, I saw him recommending books for Amazon sellers because he's an Amazon seller out of Chicago.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And he was talking about this stuff. And then I asked him, well, what about like podcasts and stuff? Because I was driving 350 miles a day. Like I had tons of time to listen to podcasts.
Okay.
And he had told me about this podcast. So I just basically binged like this podcast from within like a couple of weeks. I probably listened to all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've often wondered, like, who holds the record for listening to every episode the fastest? Most episodes per day would probably be a good way to gauge it. I've heard some crazy stories, but going through all of them in a couple of weeks is up there, man.
Yeah, it was like, I would say, so the average episode is probably like 40 to 50 minutes, something like that.
You'd know better than me at this point.
And then I was driving 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And some nights I would literally just the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. Like just, that's all I was thinking about. And
that's incredible. I'm surprised you're not completely sick of my voice yet, dude.
Oh no, you're great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, we still listen to them. We actually just listened to a couple yesterday while we were driving out to get some food and do some sourcing. So
I'm honored, truly, man. Thank you. That's cool. I appreciate every single listener out there, and I love when listeners turn into guests too. It's so cool.
Yeah, and then so we were getting like really into it, and we had purchased Pack, and we started going through that. We did the basics or the 101 and the 0 to 100.
Yeah, the replenishable course.
Yeah, and I loved. Like I had always heard of getting into this kind of business as like, you have to buy 10,000 of these private label products and have it sit in your house. And then you have to do advertising and you have to do all that kind of stuff. And I honestly hated that model. I was like, I do not want to invest that much into something that you don't know. So I loved the Replans.
Yeah.
That was what we really were getting into.
Yeah. Because you can ease into it, right? You can take your time and inch into it slowly over time. And you're putting money in the bank before you make any big investments. That's the best way for me to sum it up. And what was your impression early on? Did you have some exposure to the private label model before you jumped into our community? Did you have something contrasted against?
I had a friend that had done it a little bit. He had bought like 500 of something, which, wasn't the 10,000, but I think he probably still has 100 of them sitting at his house from, years later. Like you never know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But if you look it up online, that's what everybody says. Oh, make your own product or get into private label or, something like that.
Well, you know why that is. I mean, you've heard a few episodes, you've heard me talk about it. Why do you think that is? I mean, what's your theory? Do you agree with some of mine, or like, what's your take? Because you're right. If you get on Google or if you go on YouTube and say, hey, I want to learn to sell on Amazon, 98% of what you're going to hear is that model.
Yeah.
Find your own product, launch your own brand, fill your garage with a bunch of units from China, which, by the way, costs about 5 times as much to ship as it did just 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Factor that in, buddy. Like you're talking, you're in for tens of thousands of dollars before you make your first dime. Yeah. But that's the model everyone's talking about. Why do you think that is? I think I know. I think I've got a pretty solid theory, but what's your theory?
I kind of think that it's just like a holdover. Like, I think that that's how business used to be run. Like, it would be like, okay, you have to buy 10,000 of these, and that's how you started to, keep going. But
that's
like,
good.
I feel like, we kind of need to move into the future, and I feel like the big businesses, like, Walmart and stores that you would go buy Replans at, like, regional stores are a big one for us. They can ship the stuff way cheaper than we can. Mm-hmm. And, I don't have any place, like, we just moved into a new place. But like our old place that we had started our Amazon business in, I couldn't get a pallet of something delivered there. Like, where am I going to keep it? Right. That kind of thing. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a holdover, and I feel like people just don't really know about the Replan model. Like, or they don't think like, oh, I can't possibly make any money buying something from Walmart and reselling it. But you definitely can,
Well, there's several thousand of us in this community doing it all day, every day. That's for sure. Right. Yeah, that's a good theory. I really like that. I would, the way business has always been done is take huge risks and hope it works out someday. Yeah. Right. So why wouldn't you do that when you're starting an Amazon business? We don't do that here. We're like, take tiny little bitty risks, and one out of every 2 or 3 of them really pays off, and you can ramp up. So you're putting money in the bank before you're digging a hole. You're building that mountain before you dig a hole. The other model is like, hey, dig a huge hole, and hopefully someday you can fill it in and then build something. It's like, no, let's just start building something now. Let's start putting money in the bank now. So yeah, and I think the other reason too that private label, Manny, is just, it's popular is because as someone who's created courses and been around this industry for a while, you're going to see the big launches, the big shiny object launches are going to be around these multi-$1,000 courses that take you 6 to 9 months to figure out if you're doing it right or not. The industry loves those courses because by the time you figured out if you're doing it right or not, 6 to 9 months from now, you're beating yourself up if it doesn't work instead of asking for a refund. And I've seen it in this industry. That's the way the real estate courses work. And, just there's so many of them out there. They're just total scams, but you don't know till and you think, well, I learned some new skills, so maybe it was worth it in the end. Like, no, you just wasted a ton of money on a dead end. And it's sad, so I'm very proud of what we've built here, but I want to dive into your story. Like, when did you start doing it right? What did it look like and feel like? What did you guys do?
So we heard a lot of stuff about books. So we were like, okay, let's go to Goodwill and, scan some books. I bought a Bluetooth scanner. My wife would hold the phone and I'd just start scanning until she got a beep of a good one, or whatever. So we did that at multiple Goodwills, and we kind of learned quickly that like you can definitely find books, but it's like, I think we found of like a couple hundred or 1,000 or whatever that we scanned, like there's a lot of ones too that you would like open up and you start seeing there's writing in it or something. Like it wasn't a very scalable model for us. Yeah, like I think you could tedious. Do it,
and plus storage. 3 or 4 years ago, books were probably where we started a lot of people out. But storage has gotten so much more expensive now, unless you're willing to ship them yourself and keep them in your house somewhere organized. It's a tough model now. It really is.
And I know too, like books don't come in like, a plastic package. So you don't know 100% if they're new or not. Right. Like you could miss one page that's like scribbled in or whatever, like, and then you ship it out. The customer's like, hey, I got this, Yeah. So it just didn't really work for us. But we decided to look at, we kept doing Goodwills in the beginning. And we were looking around at, other things in Goodwill. And we actually found a lot of like sealed board games and puzzles and things like that. And we started, the Goodwill has like huge ROI. We were making like, thousands of % ROI sometimes on the stuff.
Oh, sure.
But it's not sustainable. Like we did that, we would do a trip out east and we'd do a trip out west and we'd do a trip south. And then like a couple weeks later, we'd go do that same trip. We wouldn't find anything, So like in the beginning, I don't think anybody had really sourced there that much. And then we found a lot of stuff. But then later we would try it again and we'd find nothing. And it was just like, well, we can't depend on this because...
Yeah, that's disheartening. Come home empty-handed is disheartening.
Yeah, we were like... very much like, like going home with nothing again. And we bought lunch, so we actually lost money today. That kind of thing. But then we started sourcing at like regional stores, and that's where we really started taking off. And we started mid July last year, and yeah, we ended up doing a little over 2,000 our first month in July in sales.
And that's with the Replans model specifically. Is that correct?
It was like mostly Goodwill, and then we were just starting into the Replans. We gave up Goodwill after like 2 weeks. It just didn't work out that much.
Yeah.
But then we really started kicking into it after July. And in August, we had 19,000 in sales in August. So on our like our first real month, but like our second, month, we were almost 20,000 in sales already. So
that's tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, when you say regional store, I know what you mean, but help the listeners understand. What do you mean by a regional store?
So like a store that's only really in your area, or like we live in the Midwest. So it's just like, in our area of the Midwest. Basically, the store that we go to is like just 2 states. So it's not like, but not like Walmart or Target or whatever. That's like a national store.
Exactly.
Like where you're going to have a lot more competition, because everybody in the whole like United States could be sourcing that product.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but we have plenty of people that they only use Target, or 90% of their shopping's Target, or only use Walmart. And Walmart, some people don't realize, is very regionally based. Like there's products in certain regions that you won't find in others. So even in Walmart, there's tremendous opportunity. But we love those regional stores where, the way I say it is there's not one in every state. Maybe they're Midwest only, or, Southwest only, or West Coast only. Those stores are gold mines for the Replan model, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And every state has them. And they're online too, by the way. You can shop them online too. What I'll typically do is go to Google and say, how many, type in the store name, are there in the US? And the first result's going to tell you there are 33 in the US, primarily located in the Northeast. I'm like, yep, winner. Those are the stores you want to hit for Replan's model specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great. Like we did regional stores, and then we were even sourcing mostly like seasonal stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you're really getting down in that niche of like, like specific things. It was a lot of like lawn and garden type stuff, but in the winter, you're not going to sell that stuff as much.
Sure.
But during like the summer and fall, it was like really taking off. So yeah. And then we ended up, we just kind of like grew from there. Like, so August we did 19,000. September we did 21,000. And then October was actually our best month that we ever did. We did over 36,000 in sales.
The third month, $36,000.
Yeah.
The third full month of doing the Replan model. That's tremendous. Do you remember what your margins and ROI were approximately? Like, what were you going for there, and what were you getting?
Well, so it's kind of crazy, because in October, like I know what I forget what it's called, but the financial rule of like 80-20, where like 20% of your products, where 20% are gonna make 80% of your money.
Pareto
and
principle.
We kept looking at our inventory, and we're like, man, this like top 5 things are really taking off, and the other stuff we sell a little bit of. Mm-hmm. And we only have so much capital to put into it. So we're like, well, let's put all of our capital into the top 20%. So during October was actually, so 26 of that 36,000 was 5 products, just 5 products. And we bought like hundreds of them. And we had over 100% ROI on the stuff. And then our margin was like 30 to 40%, like during that time.
That's tremendous. Yeah. Man. Yeah. So you guys were getting a great foundation, hitting some good numbers, learning about the winners, and good job, by the way, on paying attention to it's the Pareto, the 80-20 rule, right? Pareto. I think a lot of sellers could benefit from that, of seeing committing to not letting those top 10, 20% of your ASINs go dry ever. Stay on top of them and then pick up everything else as you can, but know which ones your real winners are. So if you've only got 2 hours to go out and source, you're spending it where you should be instead of just like figuring, hey, if it's on the list, I got to buy another one. No, where's the money? Go after the money, go after the good Easter eggs first, kind of, thought process. So that it really paid off for you guys. That's a great lesson. I love that.
Yeah, so, we knew like we had like a $10,000 to $15,000 budget that we were putting into buying inventory. So we're like, well, do we want to put 10,000 into these and then 5,000 into this other stuff, or like try some new things? But we're like, well, we know what sells, so let's put your money into you knowing what sells.
Yeah, go deep. And if it's a fast-moving ASIN, worst case is other people come in, the price drops, you get your money back out. Maybe you lost a little bit, but it's a fast-moving product. You can sell out anytime you want, pull your money back, put it where you want it. That's really cool. That's the beauty of this model is it's like you're playing a game where the worst case scenario is you lose 1 or 2 or 3% of your money, maybe a little more than that. And the best case scenarios are you're getting 100% ROI and you can go in as fast and deep as you want. Right. It's a really fun game to play.
And it actually, we did almost exclusively merch fulfilled like through that time.
Right. You're shipping a lot of boxes.
Okay. Yeah, we were shipping, I would estimate 10 to 25 boxes a day. We were shipping out during like October and September and November.
Did you have a UPS truck come to your house or?
Nope. We were backing it all up, bringing it down right to the post office.
Gotcha. That's part of your daily routine. So they were like, oh, here they come again every time you got.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. They were like, yep. They would see, I have a Prius. So they'd see my Prius pull up and be like,
all packed out. That's great.
Yeah. I have like 2 big laundry baskets full of boxes, bring it in. So that was a good time.
Well done, man. Hey, business building warrior, sorry for the quick interruption. Just wanted to make sure and remind you about our tremendous sponsor, Payoneer.com. If you need funding, up to $750,000, flexible repayment terms, no credit check. They love Amazon and Walmart sellers. They want to help you grow. Payoneer.com/funding for 10% off the fees. Be sure to tell them we sent you. All right, let's get back to the show.
They were like, yep. They would see, I have a Prius. So they'd see my Prius pull up and be like,
all packed out. That's great.
Yeah, I have like 2 big laundry baskets full of boxes, bring it in. So that was a good time.
Well done, man. So where are you at now? Because that's about, that was all about a year ago or so. Like, how's the last few months been and how's it looking for your Q4 coming up? Fill us in on the latest stuff.
Right now we're at about 10,000 for the month. So hopefully, we're going to hit around that 30,000 mark.
So, we're about a third of the way into August as we're recording this. You're aiming for another 30 this month. Okay.
Yeah. And Q4, honestly, we have never really done anything extra for Q4. We kind of just like sell the stuff we are selling. And like, I feel like you can really take advantage of Q4. But also, I think like if you have good selling product, like your stuff's going to sell just even better during Q4.
Yeah,
like
you're absolutely right. And you'll hear a lot of Replans sellers kind of yawn about December. Like, yeah, whatever. It's a good month.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's almost as good as October, and sometimes it's a little better than January. But it's just another month. And I love the stability of this model. It's because we're selling the boring stuff that people need year round or for several months at a time, not the Christmas gift that I picked up for $10 and it's selling for 50. Get them while you can, fly around town, gather as many as you can together. Like there's an excitement in that model, I suppose, and you can take advantage of it, like you said. But I strongly prefer the boring stability of the Replan model of ketchup and cans of green beans and, bug spray and like just, the everyday stuff that you can get everywhere easy off the shelf. Are you guys hitting sales for your Replans? Are you buying full retail off store shelves? Is that still how you go?
It depends, I guess. Like we try to hit the sales. One thing I would recommend people do is like at the stores, that they shop at sign up for their newsletter, because a lot of the time we'll get emails that's like, today only 12% off for an online order. And you just go on and, get 12%, and you can get it shipped right to your house, like that kind of thing. But if we're making good profit, like I'll buy it at full retail.
Yeah.
I think sales are great, but full retail is also like very stable.
You're not waiting on sales, in other words.
No,
neither we. We sign up for all the rewards programs, the rebate programs, that the credit cards that get you 2 points, 3 points. Have you ever bought any discount gift cards for the stores you shop?
No, we're on like the rewards program though, where like we actually got credit cards through the store too, so that we put all of our purchases for the store on there, and then we get rewards. So we get like $25 gift cards that we can use to buy stuff.
You should look on some of the gift card websites and see if any of them are sitting around there, because you'll get like $100 gift card for that store, and you can pick it up for $90. Like, yeah, we'll go use that. There's another way
to save money, right?
Yeah, another way to add some more margin on there for sure, right? I know a lot of folks that hit that. I don't even I haven't taken my own advice. There's one store actually just popped in my head. I'm going to go do that for as soon as this podcast episode's over, because we're spending several $1,000s a week in that store. That's another great. If I can just get a stack of gift cards bought at a discount, hey, that's another $500 to $1,000 a month in the bank for that one store.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely looked into like all the reward programs right away. We made sure to get like our tax exemption license, so that
adds up
are
fast.
Tax exempt everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, like we tried to do everything we could right away, and plus we had started pretty quickly. We had done the Proven Replans mentoring group with Kate.
Mm-hmm.
We were in that group and learned a lot about different things there too. So
yeah, we've got some tremendous leaders in this community. If you stick around and pay attention to what people are doing in the classes that come out and the opportunities to grow, everything we do around here, we try to make it worth 10 times the price you're about to pay. That's the baseline we've set. It sounds like you've had that experience. So you've invested.
Oh yeah, it was great. It helped like keep us accountable, too. Like, I think that's something some people really need, that accountability. I'm that way. My wife is definitely somebody that does everything on her own, but I need some accountability sometimes. So
yeah, we've got that mastermind group now. Jimmy's running it for us. It's a small group, 30 to 50 people at a time. The accountability growth. If you're hitting 10K a month or more, it's the group for you. That's the way to go. I'm going to drop that in the show notes so people can check it out as well. But, I'm glad you mentioned that. So what other tips or strategies, or any other part of your story that you wanted to dive into while we're chatting today? Because this has been tremendous content. I've really enjoyed this.
We just listened to a podcast yesterday. It was I'm so bad with names, but it was a woman that she had just used Keepa. She only had Keepa.
Yeah.
I think you'd just done that with her not long ago. And I was like, man, I don't know how she did it without like RevSeller. Like we use Keepa, RevSeller, Inventory Lab. And when we were doing a lot more FBA, we were using the Aura repricer too. Mm-hmm. So like I love having stuff that saves me time,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're all about building systems and using the right tools. But when you're first starting out, and some people stay right there. I don't remember the lady's name either at this point. We could look it up. But yeah, that's all she used. If I remember right, she had like a $30,000 a month business, something like that, using just Keepa. That's it. And I was trying to talk her into some other tools to make her life a little easier for sure. But yeah, you listed some great ones. RevSeller is beautiful. I'll stick a link to that in the show notes too. But so you can make really good decisions really fast as you're looking on Amazon at any product. You can know if it's a winner or loser. All you got to know is how much you got to pay for it. Yeah. I'm going to go pay $5 at the store for this item. RevSeller tells you instantly, FBA, FBM, here's how much money you're going to make paying $5 a unit for that product and selling it for the current rates as shown on Keepa. Yeah, so Keepa RevSeller is a power combo for sure.
And even like we didn't really know about Inventory Lab either. And Kate had started us off on that, where we started using that. And then it comes with the Scoutify 2 app.
Yep.
So we use that every time we're doing any kind of sourcing in the store. Mostly too, because you can make buy lists on it. So like when you get home, you can just upload everything into Inventory Lab without having to go through and, put the scan the barcode in or put the ASIN in or whatever for everything. So
yeah, upload your list very easily and then just throw it all in a box, right?
Yeah,
that's beautiful. You guys have a real good system. So is it just the two of you, or do you have any other help?
Yep. Nope. Just always been us.
Yeah.
When we were even like when we were doing FBA, it was a lot more like hands-on stuff we were buying at the store, bring it home, like do the FBA. But now that we've been doing a lot of FBM, it's takes an hour or two in the morning, and that's it. Like I would say our average work week is like 5 to 10 hours. Like, and most of it's like sourcing and sending it back to us. Like we do a lot of OA now.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you guys had figured out your hourly profit, like after all expenses. What was that? I remember reading it in your bio.
Yeah, at $10 or at 10 hours a week, we had made, so this whole year we had just hit a year. We did 214,000 in sales in our first year. And it was over $100 an hour. Like it was about 110 an hour that we were making for how much
55
work we put
each. If you're both working 10, right? Total 20 hours, about $55 a piece, which that's not a bad gig. I mean, you'll try to find a $55 an hour job that lets you work any 10 hours a week that you want to work. Good luck.
That's and like, especially during the winter too.
Sure.
Because like, if it's blizzarding outside, I'm not going to go source like, where like if you have a 8-hour job, like you better be getting there. Otherwise you might get fired,
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. So
you can work on the good days and the days that you want, the times you want, complete flexibility, $55 an hour. It's not rocket science either. It's just not. No part of this is complex. So it's interesting to me. You guys have found doing your own fulfillment easier, it sounded like, than doing Amazon fulfillment. Talk me through that a little bit.
Well, I guess like what I kind of figured out, or my philosophy on it, is like doing FBA is like high volume but lower amount of money that you make on each product, right?
Yep.
And doing FBM was higher profit but lower quantity that we're selling. So we were our one product that we found, it was kind of funny. It was we were walking through our regional store, and I was just kind of like scanning stuff, like we didn't even do typing at the time and stuff. We're just kind of scanning stuff, looking around. And I kind of joked, I was like, hey, I should scan that and see, what it was. And it was a $70 product. And at the time we were kind of scared about a buy cost of $70, and I scanned it and it was selling for $150 to $200 on Amazon. And we looked at the Keepa when we got home. We bought a couple of them, looked at the Keepa, and it had like 40 or 50 drops a month on Keepa.
It's smoking, in other words.
Yeah. Like a drop could be any amount. Like we've had people buy 2 or 3 of them.
For sure. I'm guessing
each.
40 or 50 drops on Keepa represents at least 500 sales a month, is my experience.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like it would fly. We actually sent those into FBA, and they literally sold like the hour they got checked in. And we were like, man, is there like another way we can do this? Because like, sending them into FBA, you have to wait a week for them to get there, maybe wait a week for them to get checked in. And especially during like winter months, and with COVID happening last year,
Q4 a lot of COVID, it could take a month to check stuff in, right?
Yeah, so that's when we actually switched over to doing FBM because it was so much quicker.
Yeah.
So that's when we got to the point where we were shipping out like 20, 30 of them at a time. It was like crazy.
I love it. A lot of little good lessons in that story for people doing this. The higher priced items, And I tend to like, especially if it's kind of a breakable or even a chance of a return kind of thing, like I want to
Yeah.
take good care of this myself and go from my house straight to the customer rather than have 25 people touching it, dropping it, doing the 3-foot test repeatedly, in
Yeah.
the warehouse somewhere. Like, let's just get it to the customer from my house. So that higher priced product is what kind of convinced you guys to kick kick the tires on that whole FBM merchant fulfill model, do the shipping yourself. And like
Yeah.
you said, you do get paid more. Amazon charges you some money if they're going to handle the box 15 times between you and the customer, right? So you save all that money. I love it. So have you found any other high ticket products like that? Or was that kind of a one
Oh,
time thing?
no, that's literally all we sell now. Like we sell everything around that. Like I think if you find like a really, really good product, you should definitely take a look at like everything around it or like adjacent to what it could be, because I think there's high chances that a lot of that stuff sells. We actually, like right now, we have probably 6 or 7 active things that we sell that are all the same thing. And they're between 60 to 120 buy cost, and we're selling them for 150 to $300. So
That's a good way to do it.
yeah.
That is a good way to do it. Yeah, because a lot of replen sellers are playing around on that. Buy for 5, buy for 2, sell for 12, sell for 25. And there's great money there. And we do a lot of that ourselves. But man, there's some gold in those bigger ticket items for sure, especially
Yeah.
if you're willing to merchant fulfill. I think that's a golden tip right there for sure.
Yeah. I think I've heard like some people, they're kind of scared to ship it out themselves, or the other thing too is like when you do FBM, you really have to do the customer service side where you get the messages from people, and sometimes there'll be an A to Z claim or a chargeback or something like that. And like we've had those, and we've actually won all of them that we've had. So you just got to keep track of your records. We've had a few IP complaints that we got those taken care of too. So like, sometimes you just can't be afraid of that stuff. You just kind of have your business going and see where it goes.
Yeah, navigate it as it comes. Yeah. The big sellers, I always like talking to the big sellers, like, the $500,000 a month guys, and like, oh, yeah, we only got 8 IP complaints last week. It was a good week, Like,
Yeah.
he just rolls right off their back. Like, it's part of, it's kind of the way, I imagine if we were a bunch of people who own small convenience stores, the way we talk about shoplifters. It's like, hey, what's your shoplifter numbers last quarter? It's like, oh, yeah, we only lost 1.3%. How are you guys? Like, oh, man, we're up at 2.4%. Like, it comes with the territory. Like,
Yeah.
it's just part of the gig. You're going to get those things you don't like, and there's not a lot you can do about it in some instances, but it's certainly nothing to be afraid of, because when you do the math, this is a beautiful business model. And your odds of being permanently suspended, as I always say, any type of topic comes up, are ridiculously slim.
Oh yeah.
If you get a pro involved, especially, we've got some great people. Scott Margulies is in our team, and he's great. Just about anything you could run into, he's seen it 50 times, and we'll get you through it. It may be down for a few weeks. That's the worst case scenario. 99% of the time, if you're suspended, man, it's just got to worry about it. But on that note, so what else, man? What any other lessons, any other notes you took down, things you wanted to share with folks? You've been a source of some really good nuggets today.
I guess I was kind of thinking about it because we're still pretty new. It's only been a little over a year.
You're about a year in, yeah.
So I still have that kind of mindset of like, we just started, kind of thing. And I always, one thing too is like, I listened to every podcast, and we went through some pack together and stuff, but like, you just got to like dive in at some point. Like you can't plan for everything, and honestly with the replens, like you always said, I think my wife got sick of me saying it, but like the inch deep, mile wide, like if you're doing that model, doing replens, if you have a problem or you lose some replens or stuff, like you don't care. You just go to the next one, find 10 more. Like, I think you just can't be afraid just to jump in at some point,
Yeah. Don't get married to any given product. Keep finding more, and the opportunities out there. So when you guys look for new products now, how much of your time do you spend doing that? Like
We haven't looked for very many new products recently, honestly, because like the ones that we have been
keeping you pretty
good.
busy.
And like new capital, like, or the capital we have is going into buying the old stuff, so like we don't have a lot of capital to put into new things, because we actually both July of last year we both quit our jobs. Like we dived straight into Amazon head first. like we like we didn't have other money to be putting into it. It was just Amazon money putting back into it over and over.
Right. And while these are churning your money, you're churning your money through on good ROI, fast selling products. You don't need anything else right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we the stuff we have has been really good. And even like like that first thing I told you about, the thing we found for $70 and we're selling it for 150.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's probably 50 people that are selling it now, and Amazon's been on there forever. Like we haven't gotten to sell that in a long time. But like, we have a bunch of other things that we're selling, so it didn't really matter that much.
Yeah. Right.
I think
and
that's
you're confident you go out and find more when you need to, if you need to. They really are everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we sometimes, we'll be just shopping in the store for ourselves and be like, hey, scan that, or, type it into the Amazon app, see what comes up.
Yep. For sure.
Kind of
they really are everywhere. I think that's the big takeaway though, is challenging people to look at the bigger ticket items, and, those can be replens as well. And consider merchant fulfilling, ship it yourself. If you're set up to do it at all, you don't need a lot of space to do it. And you can,
and we buy the boxes from the boxery. That's what Kate uses. So we got there. You can get any size box you want. Like when we find a product that we really like, we'll like measure the product and then buy a box specifically for that product.
Get the exact size box you need. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to pay more in shipping than you have to. And that's how they charge you, is like the amount of space inside the box or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we try to cut down our shipping costs as much as possible. Some of our stuff that we're selling for $150, we only pay $7-8 for shipping, So like I think our model is very different than most people's, because I think most people sell a lot of FBA, a lot of like high volume stuff, and ours has always been like lower volume but higher costs and margin on it.
Yeah, and you're shipping them yourself in the perfect size box, so it takes up as little space as possible. Yeah, I love it. It takes up, well, you're not doing FBA, so space as much as the size of the box for the shipping prices you're running. What do you use to ship? Are you using UPS? You said United States Postal, right?
We're using UPS for everything that we can, because their price has been more stable. The post office has been like going up a lot recently.
Right.
But sometimes like we ship to Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico a lot, and you have to ship those through the post office, or if it's a PO box. So, we did, it just depends on on the actual website, we buy all of our shipping through Amazon. Just in case there's like AZ claims or something like that, it's way better to buy it through Amazon. So we do that, and then we see like what's the cheapest price to ship it there, and we want to get it there as fast as possible, because I think that really helps with customer service and getting good feedback,
good reviews. Yeah Love it. Well, what else? Any other tips before we start to wrap this one up? This has been a really good episode, man. I appreciate your time, Manny.
Yeah, thank you. No, I just like, people need to invest in themselves. I think that's a big thing. Like we talk about that all the time. Like, a lot of people are afraid to start something like an Amazon business, but like, if you're working 9-to-5 job, you're never going to get to the top. Like if you want to be the top, you have to, kind of take that risk and invest in yourself. And I think that was a big thing that we did.
Yeah. So take that leap and learn some new skills. It's not a very big leap. It's not the private label leap where you got to spend tens of thousands. You guys are a few $100s in and you're making some bank, and you haven't really had to do a whole lot more since then. This isn't an expensive business model to ramp. Maybe we should charge a whole lot more money than we do, but it's not a complicated thing, nor is it expensive.
No. And I think people like if they want to jump in and do Amazon, like they should definitely, if you're even like thinking about it, you should do it. And like, maybe you need help. Well, that's what the pack's for, that's what the groups are for. Maybe even you need a coach, like like whatever you need to do to get to the point where you're working for yourself that's what I always wanted. And I think that a lot of people will be a lot happier working for themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine you are. It sounds like this is your favorite gig.
oh yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like a zombie anymore. I used to sleep, like I would wake up, sleep like 4 hours, and then I'd wake up for a couple hours, sleep for another 4 hours, wake up, eat, sleep a little more before work. Like it was just a horrible like
zombie
living
mode. Yeah, it affects every area of your life too. I mean, it's not sustainable. It affects your health, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Your relationships with your wife. I mean, these are all the benefits that you guys are experiencing. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love your story, man. I love your your contrast where you were, where you are now. It's a beautiful thing. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of folks too. And thanks for all the great tips you shared too. That was really time well spent.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, awesome episode, Manny. Well, hey, I'm going to talk to the listeners for just a second and thank them for hanging out with us today and being a part of the show. And as I like to do from time to time, to remind you, the only thing we ask from you in payment in return is send a friend to this podcast. That's how Manny heard about it. Have someone else in your life that needs some extra cash, that wants to start a business, that wants to hang out with a bunch of people who are doing this right. Send them to silentjim.com. Tell them to check this out. That's all we ask in return for all these great golden free tidbits of information that could literally change your life if you put this stuff to work. And we've got a community of 66,000 people. We just passed 66,000 here a few days ago. We're coming up on it. We're right on the edge of it. Let's say that. And it's free. It's a Facebook group that's free. You can go to silentjim.com and see a link to that as well. But the thing we have in common is we're all trying to use the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple income streams. If that's the kind of people you want to hang out with, like Manny, his wife, and thousands of other people around the world who are doing this, come on in and join us. If you're ready to get started, prove an Amazon course, like Manny mentioned, we'll link in the show notes to that as well. But to all the business building warriors out there, you included, God bless you. We're in your corner. We're here for you. We're praying for you. We want to support you and see you win and see you succeed. And I hope that comes through in everything we say and do. So until next time, we will see you on the next episode. Talk to you then. Hey, before I go, one last reminder, Payoneer.com, a tremendous sponsor of this show. You can get 10% off your first fees by going to Payoneer.com/funding. Tell them you came from our program. They're going to take good care of you. Up to $750,000 for Amazon and Walmart sellers. Hey, if you're needing some funding with some good flexible payback terms with no credit check, you're going to love these guys. Go check them out.